I'd like to start by telling you about a situation that I've found myself in many times in my ministry over the years. A clergy person from a creedal tradition, Catholic, Methodist, Baptist, Episcopal, or maybe just a member of one of those churches, comes up to me at a local community event. He or she would say something like this: I understand that you have atheists who regularly attend your church. I don't get it. Why would an atheist go to church? It doesn't make sense to me. Well, first of all, let me say that I understand why it doesn't make sense to them. These are the people who would often think they were being totally inclusive when at an interfaith clergy meeting they would say, we may have many different theologies, but we all believe in the same God. I rarely had the heart to say to them, that's not true. Yes, many Unitarian Universalists believe in God or a God-like force, but since the days of our Universalist forebears, the notions of a harsh, judgmental God who brings suffering and eternal damnation upon people has been rejected by us. So I don't think we believe in the same God. Moreover, many among us are skeptical or don't believe in a God of any nature. Some of us are settled in a scientific view of the world where there is no God, atheists, while others perhaps feel the question is unanswerable and we likely can never know for sure, agnostics. But here in this fellowship and at UU congregations all over the world, you are welcomed and valued for who you are and for the perspective that you bring, and that includes atheists. You see, those other religions find it hard to accept that a church can have atheists active in the congregation because they see church as having essentially one mission. That is to bring people to an unquestioning belief in God. Now, these same congregations often do wonderful work within their church and beyond, but if you think about it, most everything they do is premised in one way or another on a belief in God. You know, we do this because we'll be judged harshly by God if we don't, or it's God's will, or God will provide, or God has a plan, or God has prepared a place for me. Nothing is possible without God. God will give me the strength to get it done. All you have to do is believe in God. So, if an atheist should find himself or go to one of these churches, or an agnostic or a skeptic for that matter, the job of that church is to convert him as soon as possible, certainly not to value his or her views or listen to his or her perspective. Now, in some churches, you might be able to differ on some minor points of theology, but not on this big one. So I get why the fact that atheists are welcome here as they are, just like everyone else is, doesn't make sense to them. Their worldview can't reconcile the idea of an atheist and the idea of church. They cannot understand how we can have a very different idea of church. Now, I understand that some of you would perhaps prefer that I not use the word church. While for others, you could not think of anything more fitting to call this Sunday morning experience than church. In fact, one of you said to me last week, I love your sermon topic, but couldn't you just not use the word church? Well, we are blessed with people from all kinds of backgrounds. And I understand that for some, the use of certain language can feel uncomfortable. I also understand that the absence of certain language can feel uncomfortable to others. And I grant you that there is a tension here. But that's the point. That tension is at the heart of who we are, or at least who we commit to be as Unitarian Universalists. You know, You could choose to go to a service or some kind of gathering where everyone believes exactly alike, uses the same language, perhaps a temple, a mosque, a Catholic church, or a meeting of the Ethical Cultural Society. But if you're here, you've chosen to do something that I believe is far more rich and inclusive. Not always totally comfortable, but one which gives equal respect to the belief systems of each of its members. Here, essentially, each of us says to the other, we are willing to learn from you. Use your beliefs to challenge our own. Be inspired by the way you believe and the way you put your beliefs into action. That could not happen in most churches or temples or mosques, or even at a meeting of the Ethical Cultural Society. But your beliefs are welcome here. You are fully accepted as you believe or as you don't believe. Unlike other churches, non-belief in God is not a problem to be cured. It's not a threat to our institution. It's simply one more way that the door is open wider. Many religious institutions have strict requirements about what it means to truly belong. For some, it's even genetically based on who your mother or your father is. Right? For others, there are strict rituals to observe. Others, a uniform profession of faith to be made. Some have strict requirements as to who can participate in their sacraments or even enter their meeting place. And should you wish to become part of one of those kinds of churches or temples, there's generally a long and rigorous conversion process. And you know what? You still, even after that, may be sort of a second-class member, a convert. There is no conversion process in Unitarian Universalism. You come as you are. Now, I'm not saying this to criticize other religions, and I know many of those religions are becoming freer in their approach, and that's good to see. But to my knowledge, none of them come close to our kind of church, our kind of theological inclusion. A friend of mine who is active in one of the major Protestant faiths recently said to me, "Oh, it's fine not to believe a lot of that stuff in my church too. No one's going to ask, and as long as you don't tell anybody, you're welcome." Well, that's not good enough. And you know what? As a gay man, I know that position too well, and it's not good enough. Here, you don't have to keep your beliefs in the closet. Why would you want to be part of a religious institution where you can't be fully yourself? To put it bluntly, there are no second-class UUs. This is a theologically all-inclusive church. Your views and your ways of seeing the world and your way of framing and expressing ideas have to be equally welcome into the mix with all others. And that's true for you, whether you are an atheist, an agnostic, a Christian, a Jew, a Buddhist, a humanist, a Hindu, a pagan, or whatever other theological, philosophical, or ethical perspective you may hold. And yes, there are tensions. In a church like ours, it won't always be your story, but your story will be in the mix. It won't always be your language, but sometimes it will. Perhaps we each endure a bit of tension when someone is speaking from a perspective other than our own. But surely, that's not too high a price to pay for what happens here and at UU congregations around the world. What happens is this. People of different beliefs who are welcome to hold on to those beliefs come together in worship and in service, in caring for each other and in caring for the world, while being respectful of and willing to learn from other beliefs. You know, the importance of that can't really be overstated. The tribal tendencies of most religions in history have led us to some pretty awful places. And for the most part, it's not really the fault of the teachings of those religions, but of exclusions practiced that led one religion to think of their belief as superior to others. Neither your belief nor your disbelief occupies a superior position here. So back to the question the sermon is attempting to answer. Why would an atheist go to our church? Well, as I've just suggested, the first answer is that atheists, agnostics, skeptics come to our church because they can, because they'll be welcomed, as they are. But that alone doesn't get to the heart of the question of why would they come? Why would they want to come? So let me start that part of the question with a story told to me by a rabbi quite a while ago. It's about two friends, Bernie and Sam's rather perplexed son. Sam says to his elderly Jewish father, "Dad, I don't understand you. You've told me you were an atheist. Why do you go to temple every week?" The father calmly replies, "You know my friend Bernie? Bernie goes to temple to be with God, to listen to God, to talk to God." The son persists. "Yes, but what's that got to do with you? Why do you go?" The father replies, "I go to be with Bernie." To be with our friends, to find community, to know we are with others who care about us and for whom we care, is indeed a good reason for an atheist to come to our church. There is comfort in the human connection, made here and renewed here every week. This is a place where we can share our life with others, as Paul Davies put it so well in the reading that Bill shared with us. It is here in church that we feel the love we owe to others. We don't just read about it or talk about it, we feel it. I think one of the things we all learn by participating in a healthy church or fellowship is how to love each other and those around us better. It's a place where we feel a deep connection not just to our friends, but also to those different from us, and to those, especially those who are in need beyond our walls. We prove time and time again what the 16th century Transylvanian Unitarian Francis David taught. We do not have to believe alike to love alike. But there's still more to the answer to the question of why an atheist would come to our church, more than just that it's a place to be with friends and support and care for others. Here, we address the issues of the day. We are a relevant church, a church operating with a 21st century perspective, which embraces the teachings of science. And of course we draw on the teachings of religion, but we don't rely on some outdated biblical passage to limit our understanding of today's world and today's problems. We embrace the reality of our time. A church that can be honest and real and not caught up in outdated dogma and narrow beliefs is what draws atheists to us. And they, in turn, keep us honest and real. We've all heard that expression, right? Be real. Well, we're a religion that can be real in all we say and do, and that is critically important for a non-believer to find value in this institution. And still, I think there's more than just seeing the world through a reality lens. What draws atheists to our congregation is not just our honesty about and our willingness to embrace the issues of our day, but the principles and values we use to think about them, to analyze them. We try to be a place of honesty and integrity. We try to engage from the highest point of view. As A. Powell Davies put it in that reading, it's simply not enough that I should think about the world and its problems at the level of a newspaper report or a magazine discussion. It could soon become too low a level. I must have my conscience sharpened until it goads me to the most thorough and responsible thinking of which I'm capable. You know, I like to think that one of the things church does is sharpen our conscience and bring us to the most responsible thinking of which we are capable. And of course, that's why atheists find a home here. But we would fall short of being a church for either atheists or theists if we just stopped there. All people, I think, come here to be inspired to do things in this world. Things small and great, things in our personal lives, among our friends and family, and in the community. But things we might not have done at all, or not done as well, if it were not for the church of which we are a part. You know, it's no coincidence that so many atheists are drawn to social justice work. As one put it, if you don't believe in that God is going to fix it, you had better get busy. The congregation and our denomination as a whole have always been initiators and sustainers of social justice programs. Atheists come to our congregation to be inspired in that work and to do that work with others. They know they need others to help them to see the way and to help and fortify them on the journey. They know what the Reverend Mark Morrison Reed put this way: the religious community is essential. For alone, our vision is too narrow to see all that we must see, and our strength too limited to do all that we must do. But together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed. Atheists are like everyone else. They come here to be reminded again and again of how they should live their lives. They come to be drawn to their best selves, their very best selves. The atheists here and all those that decide to be part of a church like this one are much, much more than just non-believers in God. They are believers in their fellow fallible human beings. They believe in the power of reason and human compassion and the strength of love and the importance of sharing with others. They believe in the beloved community where people are called to do the work of justice together. They know there is a deep need for us to be together. They are people who try to meet the issues of life with the highest of values and principles. They are humanists. Humanists, or humanism, is a word that I use to describe folks much more than I use the word atheist. Not because there's anything wrong with the word atheist, but because it tells me very little about the person. You know, I really don't care what you don't believe. I want to know what you do believe. So what I want to tell you this morning is that atheists, agnostics, skeptics, humanists come here because they, in fact, believe strongly in a great deal, just not God. They find strength and even courage and, yes, inspiration and sometimes comfort and support in this kind of church. And again here, they find themselves, their very best selves. And finally, by coming here, they find something else. They find joy. Yes, joy. The joy of smiling faces, the joy of being part of this community, the joy of learning, the joy of being honest and being yourself, the joy of sharing, the joy that comes from doing the right thing. So whether you're a God believer or not, the truth is, we all do believe in some of the very same things. So I invite you to end this sermon with me by proclaiming some of those beliefs in song. Please rise as you're able and join in hymn 354. We laugh, we cry.